So what's the deal with this Wisconsin Senate race? Let's talk about this. This is an article from The Hill. Wisconsin Senate race tightens, flashing warning signs for Democrats. So here are our candidates, the incumbent Democrat Tammy Baldwin and the Republican challenger Eric Hovde. New signs of a tightening race in Wisconsin are flashing warning signs for Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin as she looks to fend off a challenge from Trump-backed Eric Hovde, giving Republicans a boost in their efforts to take the upper chamber this fall. The Cook Political Report shifted the race to toss-up status this week, and public and internal polling has raised alarms that Hovde could be closing the gap with less than a month to go until Election Day. Democrats are still largely confident Baldwin will hold on to her seat, but the encouraging signs for her opponent underscore the race is set to be one of the most competitive in the country this fall as the parties fight for Senate control. The incumbent's campaign has been very vocal with their supporters that this race is tightening, according to Wisconsin-based Democratic strategist Thad Nation, and that's absolutely prompting more concern among Democrats in the closely watched contest. Yeah, Democrats definitely should be careful about this one, and not just on the presidential level, but on the Senate level. You know, Trump has been campaigning in Wisconsin a lot. We talked about some of his recent speeches there. But yeah, quote, "This is Wisconsin. It's a tight race. I mean, most statewide races here are determined by 25,000 votes or less," Nation said. Headed into the last 3.5 weeks of this race was always going to tighten. Cook's swing state project surveys show Baldwin's lead has shrunk since August, falling from a 7-point lead in August to a 2-point lead last week, making it the closest Senate race across the 5 battleground states tested. Polling averages from Decision Desk HQ and The Hill paint a similar picture, showing Baldwin currently leading by 3.5 points, a notable drop since early September when she led by around 7 points. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about this race? I'm always interested to hear. The tightest one in the country. Uh, Here's the deal. Trump gives a lot of people the ick in a way that a lot of Republican candidates simply do not. Um, I haven't been hearing the name Eric Hovde a whole lot, and I live in Wisconsin. So that's actually probably a good sign for him, because if he were making a big stink and everyone were thinking about him, that would energize more people to go out and vote against him. Mostly people are just energized to go out and vote against Donald Trump. So I am worried. I think it's concerning that there's a possibility that there would be some split ticket voting for Kamala Harris and at the presidential level, or a non-Trump presidential candidate, and then also a vote for the Republican Senate candidate. I know it seems ridiculous. It's kind of hard to imagine a person who does it, but the reality is that ticket splitting does happen. And when you have a candidate like Trump who's super polarizing and two Senate candidates who are evidently not as polarizing, you might get some mixed results in terms of the ticket splitting and who people vote for president versus Senate. So yeah, I'll keep reading here. Baldwin told the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel this week that, quote, "It's very close in her own internal polls, which reportedly show her up 2 points over Republican challenger," and confirmed a recent Axios story on growing Democratic fears in the Senate race. Hovde's campaign has seen the same 1 or 2 point split in its own internal polling, a spokesperson confirmed to The Hill. "It's closing out here to be one of the closest battleground states in the country," said Alex Zimmerman, a GOP strategist who led communications for Senator Ron Johnson during the 2022 midterms. That's another thing I have to mention, Ron Johnson. So Ron Johnson is a pretty infamous guy. I just, I live in a blue area of Wisconsin, so I run into a lot of people who are bad mouthing him just all the time about his corruption, about being a sycophant toward Donald Trump. And I'm not hearing the same thing about Eric Hovde. And that's probably because he's not an incumbent. So we don't know that much how he would act as a senator. But Ron Johnson gets trashed all the time, and yet he still won. Um, and he was an incumbent, so people knew what he was like. He beat the lieutenant governor 2 years ago. It was Mandela Barnes. So the fact is, Republicans can definitely kick butt in Wisconsin. That's just the reality of it. And it might be easier for the non-Trump Republican than it would be for Trump himself. So Democrats, seriously, watch out for this race. Quote, Baldwin doesn't have the wind blowing her sails quite the same level that she had the previous two elections, so I think the momentum on the ground for Hovde is real. Yeah, I don't know about his momentum because I'm barely hearing anything about him. I think he's flying under the radar for the most part. As I said, I live in Wisconsin, so I can give some insider information to the best of my ability. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a tight race. The Democrats have had some good news in the Senate races, and in terms of Ted Cruz's challenger, Colin Allred, is actually giving him a pretty good run for his money. But Dems should also watch the heck out in the state of Wisconsin. I don't think we can stress that enough. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think it won't be tight? Do you think Baldwin will cruise to re-election? Are you very concerned that Hovde is going to smite her in an election? I want to hear what you think. As always, if you like this video, if you found it interesting or insightful, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to grow the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.